Hello, so today I'm going to share what I've been learning this week. When you share things on a public place like this, as I have for the last 10 years on my blog, sometimes there are things that you would rather not share, and this is one of those things, but part of it is just that I care very much what other people think. I care too much. But one of the things I have learned through YouTube is that it's what God thinks that is most important, and so I am going to share these things. Even though it's a difficult topic to talk about. But what I'm sharing about today is about making decisions. And so it is something that can apply to whatever decision you are making. So I hope somebody finds it helpful. I'm also going to share an answered prayer. It's something that's just a little thing, but I love answered prayer stories, even when it's just something so small. So this week life has changed for me. I have gotten a new job, which I wasn't kind of counting on getting, and it is to help Lydia at school. So today is actually the last day for a lot of teachers at our school. There is a mandate now that all teachers have to be vaccinated, and it's been a very difficult thing for our school because there are a lot of teachers who don't feel comfortable with that, which I can completely understand. I also didn't want to get it either, and I wasn't really faced with it like other people were, but I started to pray about it, and I think it's always important to pray about things that we are faced with. So I started to pray about it because I knew that there would maybe be less teachers at school, and I felt like God's answer to me was just that I should be willing to take it if I needed to help with something. And also God spoke to me that my safety is in His hands. No matter what choice we make, at the end of the day our safety is in His hands. And while I was thinking about this, my husband actually suggested to me that I help with Lydia at school. And so I was already praying about that, and then he suggested that to me. And so for me that was a little bit like a green light. So anyway, I just contacted the school and let them know that if they needed help, that I was willing to help. And at first they said no, that it shouldn't be necessary. But then right at the last minute they said yes, that it was needed. And so I'm probably going to help with Lydia maybe 2 mornings a week. It all happened so quick I don't quite know what's happening yet. But anyway, about making decisions. So that's a decision that I had to make, and a lot of people have had to make too. But for whatever decision you are making, I think these things could come in handy. So the first one is that we should trust God and not anything else. So with the issue of the vaccine, it's easy to put your trust in it or to put your trust in not getting it. But whatever decision we should make, we should put our trust in God and not in anything else. Because at the end of the day, our safety is in His hands. So the second one is what God thinks that is the most important. I think very simply, I think if God wants me to do something, that's all that matters. Then it's just a matter of obedience. I don't think too much about all the risks or the side effects and all those things, because I just was thinking of Jonah when God told him to go to Nineveh. He didn't want to go, but all that really mattered was that God had told him to go. And if you think too much about what could happen or reasons why you shouldn't go or risks, you're never going to do what God wants you to do. It's what God thinks that's the most important. And what decisions we make, we should make based on that, not on what other people will think either way. There's pressure on both sides. But when we make decisions, it's what God thinks that is the most important. We should be living to please Him. The third one is we should pray about decisions. Proverbs chapter 3, 5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths." So I believe that to mean whatever decisions you are faced with, to pray about it, and then God will direct you. But the next one is we should be willing to do whatever God wants us to do. So we need to pray, but we need to pray with an open mind. Pray willing that whatever God wants us to do, that we would do. So we can't just pray about something, but we've already got our mind set on what we're going to do or what we're not going to do. And I just listened to a new song this morning I never heard before. I'm just going to read out some of it. I wrote it down in my journal this morning. It starts off, my heart longs for absolute surrender, that I'd wholly consecrated be, not in word alone, but all my being would be fully given unto thee. There is little willingness within me to place all I am before thy feet. So I lay my hands on thy dear head, Lord, as the burnt offering perfect, complete. And then further down it says, I say yes and give you full permission to touch every corner of my heart. Break through all the barriers in my being. Do not let me withhold any part. It is my joy to give you all the ground, Lord. Make my heart a dwelling place for you. I want you to be at home within me. Come and settle down in every room. So we should be praying about our decisions, but being willing to do whatever God wants us to do. Because God can't really direct us if we've got our minds absolutely set on what we want or on what we don't want, whatever way it goes. And the last one is, we should be more afraid to disobey God than we are afraid of the consequences of obeying God. So if you think of Jonah again, he should have been more afraid of disobeying God than of what would happen if he went to Nineveh. And it's very easy to be more afraid of what's going to happen if we do something than we are afraid of what's going to happen if we don't, if that's something that God's put on our hearts, or if it's something clearly that God has commanded. And I would also like to share a verse which it was Saturday that I got the vaccine, and I was feeling very fearful about it because I don't trust it. So the only reason I did get it is because I believe that that's what God was leading me to do. But on my little daily Bible verse calendar, the verse for the day was Isaiah 26:3-4. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Trust ye in the Lord forever, for he is the Lord. For in the Lord Jehovah is everlasting strength. So that was a really encouragement to me to keep my mind on God, not on anything else, and to trust in God. And that's what we need to do no matter what decision we make, is to trust in God. And the story of answered prayer. I don't pray about every little thing that I buy, but I've just started a new journal because my old one was finished. And so I was writing down a few prayer requests. And there is one thing that I needed, which was a new coat. So a couple of months ago I did buy a new coat, but it was just a little bit big, and it's kind of a bulky coat anyway. And so because it was a size too big, it just felt really big and bulky. And I really liked the coat. It was really nice and warm. It was just the bulkiness of it that I didn't like, and that it felt too big. So I've kind of been looking for one ever since that's just a size smaller, but I couldn't find one. So anyway, when I was writing down these requests, I wrote down a new coat, and so I started to pray about it. And this week when I was doing my shopping, I went in and had a look at the op shop again, as I've already looked a couple of times, and I saw my coat in there, and I thought I'd held on to my old coat until I got a new one, because I can still wear it. But anyway, I saw this coat in there, and I thought, I can't remember putting it in the op shop. Yeah, I was sure it was still in my cupboard. But anyway, I looked at it, and it was exactly the same coat, but it was one size smaller. So it was the right size. So I was able to get exactly the same coat, but the right size. And I thought that was a neat answer to prayer. And it's a reminder that we can pray about anything, even if it's just little. And I read a quote somewhere that says, God does care about the small things of our life, because to him everything in our life is small anyway.